Hello and welcome to another episode of Sac Dugout, produced by Morris League. We're here at Access Sacramento. We have special guest Jess Lima from Morris League Baseball, and we have special guest Alex Smith from Best Speed Baseball, and of course your hosts Dominic Morris and myself, Todd Sullivan.
Now let's get right into it. All right, our first question I have for y'all, since it's a real diverse group here, I want to ask y'all, what is the most important function in a baseball organization? Is it the players, the managers, or the ownerships, the CEOs of the company? And let me start off with you, Alex, since you have a lot of experience with it running an organization.
Yeah, well, being in an organization and also running an organization, I could say that it kind of, one and two would be coaches and players. It all starts there. And I believe it starts with players first. But before you even get to the players, you actually have to have coaches and management and scouting and different things like that to either, if you're starting a youth organization, you have to be able to scout and get the flyers out. Or if you're in a major league organization, obviously there's scouting department and the head higher-ups, the assistant GM, the GM, all those personnel type guys are very, very important. And I consider those guys a part of the coaching staff because those are ultimately who are deciding what the talent is. So that's kind of my opinion on it. It kind of, you can go 50-50 either way. More from a player standpoint of playing the game, I would always say it started from us as a player. But being on the management side and the administration side and the scouting side of things now, it is more of that. And that's what gets everything kick-started, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. I kind of have to agree with him too. Without the business people on that end being able to be there for the coaches and for the players and be able to get the necessary needs and means for the facilities, the team, the coaches to be able to function at the best of their ability at top speed, mm-hmm. best performance is definitely going to be up there. But when it comes to the organization itself, it's who's the glue, who's going to keep things together. It would have to be the coaches, one, players, two. The philosophies, the mental awareness and preparedness that the coaches do to make it so much easier for the players to produce and give back to the team is definitely, I think, one of the most important things. What can the coach get out of the player?
Yeah, let's bring it right here in a micro environment, right here in Sacramento. Let's just say youth organization, where there's so many different organizations, right here in Sacramento. I would have to say that, the player agent, scout has to be like one of the important, because there's so much good talent to pick from the area. If you want to have your, frontline players be the best, it has to come from, picking the right players out of different programs.
Yeah, when you're getting started, the scout and getting the proper players to set you off is the most important thing.
Absolutely. But also I think it depends on the level you're talking about. You're talking about an instructional level from youth, or you're talking about high school, getting a little more deep into the instruction and then into the scouting, where the more serious scouting to either a big program or to even, major league scouting. I think as in developmental instructional level, I think it really is, the coaching is really integral, because you need that firm stability, that year in, year out of this is the way we're doing it, this is the philosophy that we're going to do it. And I know there's multiple philosophies that are successful, but I think a really key element of that is being stable and having that, so you can teach a kid from the time he's 6, 7, all the way till he's 13, 14, and then moving on to the next step. But then as you get higher, I think a lot of it starts to move closer to the front end, and then the players themselves, obviously, because as you start to scout and find better prospects, and then it's all about the management and then putting those players the right pieces in the
key
right
situations.
Exactly, and knowing how your organization is built.
And so, and you're completely right. That's why I said it just depends on what level organization you're talking about. If you're talking about MLB, I think the scouting department, the general management department, and then the coaching staff are top bill. And this is why they get paid top dollar. This is why Billy Bean's winning awards every year, year in and year and out. Sabian. There's different metric systems. There's different mathematical equations that are put in place to evaluate a baseball player. Like, let's say if Jess and I are going for the same position, we're going to play second base. I played it too as well, after the knee injury. What did Alec produce with runners in scoring position? And that's something that they're going to go against him and I on. We may be running the same way. We may have the same grade point average. We get to college, it's about production. And can he be placed in the 2-hole and the 8-hole? Can he be placed only in the 3 and 4-hole? All these different types of things are scenarios that these upper division scouting departments have to go through. That's why it's so very important that they are spending their money in the right way, because each player is an investment. The Kansas City Royals just traded their top prospect for pitching for a bona fide established major league pitcher in James Shield, but they gave away the future in center field. And at what cost do you really think pitching or a position player, at what level, would you give that up? At my level, I would never do it, at the best speed level, because we are instruction and we are competitive. I would never sit here and say, well, please take my best pitcher for my best center fielder. I'd probably almost always keep my best pitcher, period, because pitching is what wins at most, if not all, levels. So there's just so many different types of scenarios that you have to kind of...
Good pitching beats great
hitting every single time.
I guess
Majority of the time.
As a hitter, I would like to beg to differ, but
Exactly.
I guess we'll say the consensus is for youth and instructional, it's more on the coaches, because they're
very much so the coaches.
And for professional ranks, it's all about the the scouts and the different
It's all upper
personnel.
management.
And then production on the player.
Production on the player as well.
Because the missions is different for both sides. You're training and trying to get them up to that pro level, and pro level is about getting.
That's the beauty of it, though. There's such an escalator or an elevator, you want to call it, a pyramid, however you want to label it. It's a beautiful thing to see a 6-year-old go and mature to a 12-year-old, and the 12-year-old matures to a 15-year-old, and that 15-year-old then matures to a solid bona fide prospect at 17 and 18. That prospect's then picked up at 21, 22. They are ready for the show. They make it to the show by the age 24, 25. You've now seen a progression of a baseball player from the time he was 6 till he was 25.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because you're in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in there. We've gone through scouting. We dealt with scouts. So when do you actually think, at what age level is somebody actually being scouted?
Right now, I would say the ages of 12.
Yeah,
There's 12-year-olds being...
I was going to say, 13, 14 at the...
Exactly
being
what
on
it
the
is.
front line right now, there are 12-year-olds out there. We just played against one. I saw actually 2 kids who have very bright futures. As long as they sustain their grade point averages, they sustain a good, healthy mental attitude towards the game. They are extremely athletic, have all the right mechanics, have all the right tools at the age of 12 that most kids don't even have at
You
18.
mean by scouting? I mean high schools is picking them up from middle school.
Not even
right?
high school.
not
I'm
even
talking
college
about
programs
college and
and
college
college.
programs and
This is-
professionals are
This is
looking
not
at
even
these
foreign. I
guys.
mean, this is foreign to us in the U.S., but this is a regular protocol in the Dominican and in
Exactly.
the Caribbean and South America, Central America. So, I mean, it's funny that it's now taken this much time to get here, but kids were getting drafted. Adrian Beltre was 15 and signed his first
Well, you
contract.
look at basketball. That's been the norm. 7, 8-year-olds.
Soccer is the same thing.
Yeah.
And in Europe, guys like Beckham were scouted at 8 and 9. And they were signed to Manchester United
Even
at
Schumacher
13.
in racing was
exactly
4 years old.
4 years
He knew
old.
where he was gonna
doing
go.
go-karts. I think that the Suzuki method is a Japanese method of how they groom their baseball players. Leon Lee's very, very well known for trying to implement things of that nature. Jerry Manuel's doing the same thing right now with his charter school and Anthony, his son over there. And what we're trying to do too at Best Speed is we're trying to speed up the process into getting our players ready, pro ready, college ready, high school ready at an earlier age, because the competition factor with YouTube, with the internet, with texting, with information being at your fingertips, you have to be ready to go. You have to be.
Absolutely.
And if you're 11 years old and you don't know how to hold a runner on, you're behind.
I know this might be, shocking some parents that are watching this
Yes.
right now, but it's actually beneficial, because what scouting does, even if it's somebody through Best Speed Baseball, Morris League Baseball, junior college, or at the university 4-year level, it's awareness and preparedness, and it's actually something that at these young kids are so excited to learn. They're so eager to get there, and every kid has a goal. But once you put a little bit in front of them, just something for them to strive a little bit harder, you'll be amazed about the field output, the personality of the kid.
Blossom.
Everything just really tends
Yep.
to turn around and blossom. And with that, we'll be right back after these words with this crew. Thank you very much. we going to get right back at it come the first of the year? Here, we're going to have a little roundtable discussion. We call this the hot corner.
Center fielder is the most important position.
Pitcher's not only responsible for touching nearly every ball that is thrown.
Oops. All right,
Oh,
exactly.
I was about to say, well,
Welcome to the Sacramento Sunset Ask Downtown.
Very interactive. We're very easy to talk to.
We're all talking about today, but it's not almost
Our segment, I'm here in Old Sacramento at Laughs Unlimited.
Out to you guys to try to offer help or let you know how the system works.
Publicly traded student housing.
Segment, and we're at Laughs Unlimited in Old Sacramento. What's up? I love creation of society.
Destined for greatness.
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 The domain of how the organization was run, instead of having a group of people that wanted to be out there helping the kids, your board of directors, and keep everything flowing.
We're back for our second round of discussion here. We had a nice little conversation over a break. One topic that's probably near and dear to a lot of y'all is the topic of, Little League Baseball. We all played it before, and what we have now is we have a growth in travel baseball, more specialized in the game of sport. It's not only 3 months out of the year, but now it's 9 to 10 months out of the year. So my question for
It's
this,
December baseball.
yeah, it literally
Just
is.
got done playing it this
Yeah.
past weekend.
So I want to bring up the question: what is a more how should I say this? What is a more effective way of learning the game of baseball? Is it through the traditional baseball leagues where you play different sports and you play baseball during baseball season, or is it the play with a travel ball where you have the opportunity to play more games, but you might miss out on other sports to be well rounded?
But it used to be Little League.
It used to be.
It
Little
used to
League.
be.
It
But
used to be.
It's become the domain of how the organization was run. And instead of having a group of people that wanted to be out there helping the kids, your board of directors, and keep everything flowing, there's a little chink when it comes to the parents trying to get involved. And I think that's where baseball camps, baseball academies like Alex, it's definitely the kids want to be there. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference in Little League. The parents are signing them up. They want to keep their kids active. They're keeping them out there. As long as they're out and about and running around, everything's fine. Whether they're learning something or not, I really don't think the parents had a concern. But the parents that realize that their child is passionate about athletics and enjoys the game of baseball and has a desire to continually to play rain or shine, I think the best opportunity for them is a academy such as Best Speed Baseball, or any situation like that where you have the proper teaching skills, you have the proper.
That's the most important, I think, aspect, and it kind of hits on topic one, and it funnels to this one is. Do you have the correct coaching? Do you have the correct knowledge being transferred to these youth, these youth players? Because I'm a Little League guy at heart. I love Little League. Like this last time I was on the show, and I will convey that at any point in time. That's where I grew up playing. I grew up playing until I was 16 years old, and that's when certain offers started coming in, and I was more on the new school front of what travel ball was, playing for California Gold Opti, playing Stan Musial, playing for the Smokies, doing different things like that, and being exposed to better talent, older talent. At 16, you're playing 19 and 20-year-olds. It's kind of unheard of. Now when that happens, you get a Bryce Harper. But that was the norm for the better players here in Sacramento.
Now, is it necessarily beneficial for, I know it's for information of coaching and access is a lot better for travel ball, but I know it's like when I was growing up, I played, Babe Ruth. I played local little leagues, and I noticed if it was a guy from East Oakland, he played in the Oakland Babe Ruth. Was a guy from North Oakland or Berkeley. He played in North Oakland League. Now, what I see is I see little leagues diminishing because the best players of that area is on the travel team.
What you get out of that now is there's specified tournament teams that just play tournament baseball. And you probably saw that back down in Southern California.
That's how I started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's teams like Taboo that are out of the East Bay area, and teams like the Head First Gamers. And they're great organizations. But they pull kids from Sonoma, Napa, East
Head
Bay,
First,
Millbrae, Danville.
Abrams.
Yeah. And they all form a team, or they get the best one or two guys. There's kids that are in Sacramento that are playing with this Taboo team that play down at Manteca and in the Bay Area every other weekend. And they're kicking everybody's butts, because they pull from the best talent. So you have teams like that are very specific on who they want. And they only go to showcase talents where scouts, college, professional, and different people that can offer and benefit them in the long run. So you have that entity, and then you also have what we offer. We offer everybody something, whether it's an 8-year-old that's never played. We offer them our academy and a Friday night thing and a Sunday day thing. They get 2.5 hours, almost 5 hours of instruction weekly on how to get the fundamentals. But then we have our rostered kids, and we have our specialized groups that do go to tournaments, and they do travel, and they do win trophies, and they win accolades because they're talented. And I think that there's a place for it. It's just really hard in the Little League level because you kind of have the good old boy network that doesn't want to conform to what baseball is becoming. And what baseball's become is it's no longer you keep your foot on the bag. You got to lead off. You got to pitch from the stretch. You got to learn how to do PFPs because baseball is more of a specialized sport. It's something you have to work on all year round. And I think you would agree, Jess, on that.
Absolutely. And not only is it the good old boy network that you're running into, but you're also running into, oh my gosh, it's Little League. My son needs to get some playing time. And where I sympathize and I understand that it's also, okay, but that's fine if you want to leave it at that, and that's where you want to end it. And if your son doesn't have a desire to go any further, then that's fine, and especially at the lower levels. But if your child does show a desire and a want to go, and that's where the academy again comes in perfectly. Even the tournament ball. I know that I was a perfect example. I grew up when that tournament ball was happening in its prime down in Southern California, and yeah, that was a big issue. Little leagues were furious because their summer tournament ball teams were getting robbed of all of their best players because these club teams, they were called, would showed up, and then we would go and travel tournaments all over the place. So I sympathize with that, but I also understand that the Little League has its places, and it's a figuring out if a kid wants to play baseball, wants to play soccer, wants to do whatever. I mean, it may not be sports, but it's a figuring out period, and I think that's key, that we need to have those foundational leagues out there. But again, I think in reality, it benefits not only the sport as a whole, but even the players. I mean, everybody wants to be good, and being good and being successful at something, it just does leaps and bounds for self-esteem and for the individual, and confidence for a player, and I think it helps them excel in things outside of baseball and in life in general. So I think that there needs to be that next level that where you can really shape and form a player.
And Todd can relate to this, and I can too, and you probably can. From where you were from and where you grew up, I lost a lot of kids at 12 and 13 at Florin Little League in South Sacramento. Lost a ton. And I was tired of losing a ton. I was tired of losing 12-year-olds to basketball and football. when they're only going to be maybe at best 5'11", 5'10". Yeah. And it's like, you're a perfect height for baseball. You're a perfect athlete. You're a perfect athlete to play pitcher, catcher, second base, outfield. There's 6 different positions you can play on the field at 5'10", 5'11". That scouts will love, because you possess that. And so, it's trying to find a niche to get these parents more so to buy in and to actually have conversation with their children. Yeah. Not just assume. And that's a lot where it starts too. So
the reason why I'm still a big proponent of little leagues and the traditional based leagues is kind of like what Todd said. It's a family atmosphere. It was a spot where you knew your cousin was going to play or your best friends from up the street was going to play in this league every year. And one experience that happened with my league personally was that we had a 12-year-old all-star team. We, had our traditional season. We made the all-star team. And we got to travel outside. The very next year, it was a travel team that came along, and they just swiped the best players out, and they end up going to the same tournament that we had to make the all-star team to make. And I just think that sometimes, like travel ball, it's like they kind of have different loopholes, different rules where, it's kind of not rewarding when you come to a traditional league of making an all-star team.
If you don't do it right.
Right, and I totally agree with you. That's where there's a problem, whether it's the board, the coaches, or the parents, where Little League is recreational. Mm-hmm. Travel is competitive. Mm-hmm. That's the pure difference. They were taking competitive ball players for their league. But as long as coaches, players understand that Little League is recreational, it's there for the learning process. It's there for them to develop interests, keep interests, and find their way, develop their needs and their likes when it comes to sports. And if it is a competitive atmosphere that the child needs, then they should be moved to a travel team or something like that.
I guess my question is that a better learning experience, that traditional way of being maybe a 3-sport athlete, in the fall you play basketball.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I can tell you
maybe
that doesn't
2
exist
sports,
anymore.
but not 3 sports. But
yeah.
It's more so, basketball has been year-round for a long time. Soccer definitely has been year-round for a long time. Football, you're playing it half the year, but you're conditioning year-round. And once baseball,
7-on-7 now too.
And once baseball started realizing what it takes to have a competitive team and a league, it's definitely a year-round thing. And if we're out there running a business, keeping things going, then the kids might as well be out there playing, because we actually, we don't know how much work we're doing because there's so much to do. But once we start playing and the kids are out there playing, it's no longer work.
And the cool thing that we do, I want my kids to adventure and to understand and play other sports. And I encourage it. You still are a part of Best Speed. You're still a part of our organization. The kids that just choose to play our organization, we reward as well. But we also reward those kids that have chosen to go play rec, our U12 and under kids, and so on and such. But I just think that it comes to a point where a parent has to actually have a reality check too. And that's where we have like our code of conduct comes into play and different things like that, because little Timmy might not be as good as you had proclaimed him to be when he was 10, and now he's 12 and everybody's caught up. And little Timmy actually, and then little Timmy B might be better than what you had thought he was at 12.
That's a good note. And with that, this was some thought-provoking conversation. Too bad we're out of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but for more information and for our next segment of our Hot Corner Rally, you could watch us at our Facebook page, facebook.com/Morris League, for all the latest Sac Dugout information. For Alex Smith,
thank you,
Jess Lima, and the co-host Todd Smith, I'm Dominic Morris. It's been another episode of Sacramento Dugout. Yeah, it started back when we was in the dorms at Sac State. You know, we was freshmen going to Sac State. It was our first year not playing baseball at all. You know, we've been playing since we was 4 in some kind of organized game league of baseball. And for the first time ever, we didn't play in an organized league, so it kind of bummed us out. So what we did was brought our gloves up, and we will play catch every chance we could right in front of the quad, religiously every day after lunch in the middle of the day. You'll always see us out there. And what started happening was we started to see more guys do the same thing. And we saw it was like enough to get a game, and we saw at one point where it was like 18 guys out there. So we went down to House Street Park, and we had our first game, and everybody had fun. And it was like, hey, let's do this some more. We started to continue to do it, and that was really essentially the start of the Morris League. It was just from playing catch in the quad to one of our urge to continue to play baseball, and it just sprung up to something we've been doing for 5 years now. Yeah, actually, we had a whole lot of preparation going up to the first game of the season. Me and Dante will have meetings every night of, you know, at game 6 we'll do this, game 8 we'll do this. We planned out a 10-game season. After our first season, we knew that we could do another one. You know, it was real fun. All the guys had fun, and you know, us running the first league, it was such a success to us. So our next year was, how could we improve on it? How could we duplicate it? So our next goal was instantly to go ahead and duplicate it and have 4 teams in the league. And we thought mostly we had Sac State students our first year, and then a lot of people from the community wanted to play in the fall too. So we actually had 2 more teams that came from the community, that came from other leagues that played for us this fall. So the fall time was real successful. We had outside leagues come in, and we duplicated. We turned it from 2 teams to 4 teams. So yeah, we went over our list, all the necessities that we need to have. We checked them off, and we went after it for our 2008 fall season. What I always looked at was like that, you know, Disney Corporation as a model as far as like shaping what we want the Morris League to be. You know, they started as a little animation company. Now they're a big, you know, telecommunication company with their hands in pretty much everything. We saw that as a model where, you know, we got aspirations to get to. We had our very first show. We met with Vince and Roundtable, and it was just getting off the idea about, you know, the Sac Sunset. Vince and Brittany are 2 hosts of the Sacramento Sunset. They host a radio show called the Sac State Sunset. And, you know, we was real happy about the show. You know, we was, like, real fans of the show. We was figuring, like, you know, it's a good opportunity for us to show some skills outside of baseball realm. Like, we actually run a media type of empire. You know, we sat down with them. We explained what we want to do. We explained how it benefit them, how it's going to benefit us. We figured this would be a mutually good project that we all can work on and get better at. And then eventually, you know, being a part, just building our media company, we want to get real strong with the video element. So, you know, me and Dominic made a couple of investments and, you know, bought some expensive cameras. And we put their skills out to the test. We started doing small little commercials. And then we just started doing like packages type of video shoots that we did about, you know, in the community at different locations. And we just started putting them on YouTube and putting them on our website.